Hello, Highlanders. You're tuned into Highlander Hot Talk Basketball. I'm Seth Myers, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Isaac Solnick. He is the managing editor of the Highlander and KUCR broadcaster. Isaac, what are we going over today?
Yeah, we're going to be going over basketball, Seth. We're going to be talking about men's and women's basketball this week. On Thursday, they played Long Beach State, and on Saturday, they played Cal Poly.
All right, and you want to start off with men's real quick, just like we did last time?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so they had a great game against... Whoops, I was on the wrong page there. They had a great game
Long Beach State.
Long Beach State, which they won 71-61. I was there for that. It was a great win. Henderson popped off for like 18.
About 18, yeah.
Yeah. And no, 19, and then Colley with 13, and Ben with 13. Ben Waller. That's a good game. That's a good game, especially to kind of bring you back to reality of like, okay, we're in the Big West, we're still competing, and that type of thing. So I definitely think like, what were your thoughts on that game? I want to hear yours before.
Yeah,
my
my thoughts were, I think for the team, it was great for them to just taste the win after that game. Obviously, they've been close to getting a win, and they've been playing like a team that win games too.
Yeah.
Right? They've lost a lot of close ones, and just to get that win, get that morale back, get that confidence back to know, yes, we can win games. I think it's really important just going forward too, not just winning that game as well, especially against a team at Long Beach State that's we're really close to in the standings.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then you look at the box score, and this is one of those games where the box score actually tells you a lot. Look at the point spread in like on our side. Henderson had 19, but there's just like a good spread of guys grabbing points here and there, and that's what you want to see, especially from a team like this. And then, guys come on the court and they provide defensively with rebounds, stuff like that. And then I think you just outplayed Long Beach. Obviously, they didn't have Gavin Sykes that game, which is a huge blow for them. But they are still pretty good without him, we've seen. And yeah, but we definitely took advantage of that middle. BJ Colley definitely had a field day in the post. Maybe a little too much of a field day, if you want to talk about him fouling out.
Yeah, no, Colley, very physical, right? And he had a really tough matchup going against Peter Mastorovich from Long Beach State, right? Obviously, going into that one, once we heard the news that Gavin Sykes wasn't going to be playing that game, the plan was simple for the Highlanders. It was shut down Mastorovich. He's their second option on offense. And, right, every time he got that ball in the post, it was double teams on Mastorovich. It was get the ball out of his hands immediately and make someone else beat you, right? And Long Beach State, to their credit, they have a bunch of really good guys, right? Shaquille Bender popped off. Yeah. Isaiah Lewis had a bit of a hot streak there in the first half. He cooled off in the second, but he had, I think, 13 or something in the first half. He was really impressive in the first half. Showed off a really nice mid-range jumper in place of Gavin Sykes. Yeah. But the plan was clear. It was going to be, they're going to be all over Mastorovich. And it did lead to Colley fouling out early. But, at the end of the day, Mastorovich was held to, I believe, like 6 points in that game. Or 9 points in that game, only one field goal, and he had to earn his points at the line, 7 for 9 from field goal. So I think it was a successful plan from Arsenal.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then, Ben Waller pops off with some more huge dunks. I got the opportunity to interview him. He is a dog. We know that. We've seen that. We've talked about that. Definitely cool to watch. Like the seats were filled. That game, and that was fun to like have him pop off like that, and him OG posterize somebody. I'm talking like Sports Center top 10, absolutely like back scratched on somebody. It was insane.
It was insane. He had like 3 buckets, and 2 of them were some massive dunks.
And then there was a point early in the game where I thought that BJ Colley was about to do that to somebody, and because. So Tyler Jones tossed him an oop, and BJ caught it and laid it up. And oh my gosh, if he would have expected that it was coming, I mean, it was a 2-on-1. It was Tyler Jones and BJ Colley against, I can't even remember who it was, some defenseless defender, like somebody who had to go up to just like save himself. But I mean, BJ would have like probably yanked the rim off if he had slammed that. But that was a defensive clinic from the Highlanders is what I saw. I mean, they weren't obviously, they fouled a lot, but they weren't afraid to give up those fouls for the sake of like, we will not let you pop off. Like, we will not let you gain any momentum. And that was something that I saw Long Beach struggle with. Like, they never had momentum going into like multiple possessions.
Yes, it goes back to what you said earlier, right? You had the Highlanders who had a much better scoring spread with guys like Henderson and Ben Waller, right? And then you had Long Beach State, which, they were missing their number one option in Gavin Sykes. But once we shut down their number two option in Mastorovich, they really didn't seem like they had a go-to guy outside of Lewis in a couple moments to really go to.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of too one-dimensional, or at some times they were just kind of passing the ball around a little too much, not sure where to go with it.
Yeah, I definitely think that kind of influenced their play against Cal Poly. If you look at that Cal Poly game, they played a great game. Cal Poly just kind of rolled into it from the win against Bakersfield. They had won the previous game against Bakersfield 104. They put up 104 points against Bakersfield, which is against a Big West opponent. It's not like an NAIA school.
Right.
Like, Bakersfield is a Division I opponent. To put up 104 against them, and then for the Highlanders to come in the next game and make it a competitive matchup. I mean, yeah, they beat them last time, but this is a very different Cal Poly team we're seeing.
Yeah, I think it was tough too, right? Because you had that Long Beach State game where you had Henderson and Worthy pretty much play the whole game. I think Worthy pretty much played the whole game against Long Beach State, and then you got to go 2 days later on Saturday. You got to host Cal Poly, who are the fastest team in the Big West.
Yeah.
Right? They play at such a high pace. That's what allows them to put up scores like 100 points against Bakersfield. And I think it was just really tough timing with that one. And also, right, Cal Poly, they're going to want their get back from earlier in the season too. And it was two completely different teams. And I thought, compared to the first matchup between those two teams, I thought both teams really improved since their previous matchup in December.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, you saw, you have to mention it, Andrew Henderson with a generational game. 39 points. What do you even make of that? That's 39 points in a college basketball game. For those of you who might not watch college basketball but are tuning into this because you're Highlander fans, that's really insane. 39 points in a college basketball game is like 45 in an NBA game.
At least, right? Because it's 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's usually a slower tempo because it's a longer shot clock. So you just have less possessions to really work with.
And so for a guy to score 39 points, and again, it was 87 to 94. 39 points is almost half of your total points. Like that for him to be able to do that is incredible. I definitely think that he needed a little bit more help in that game, and it's unfortunate because Cal Poly is just such a high motor offense that they're not going to give you a lot of possessions. They're going to run down there and score, and then if you give them any extra possessions, they will keep scoring. They will add up on that total that you see in the end there. And so that was definitely something that I saw from them. And then again, you just got to limit the turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. Against a team like Cal Poly, right? They get the ball. It's four guys all the way down the court. I thought, we could have done a better job with the turnovers and in the turnover margin, but I thought we kind of made up for it a lot on the rebounding side of the ball.
Yeah,
we didn't like guys like Cal Poly. They've got an endless list of guards that rebound so well. The first one that comes to mind is Caden Ward, Peter Bondel. Too does really good. Guzman Vaslich, the Uruguayan, he does a really good job of rebounding. But for the most part, our bigs kept them off the boards and did a really good job of getting those possession backs, not letting them have too many second chance, third chance opportunities on offense.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that was a huge part of that game is the rebounding. And then something else I want to point out is right before the Cal Poly game against UCR, Cal Poly in the game before that, they had a guy, Troy Plumtree.
Oh, yeah.
He went off for
31 against Bakersfield.
He had 6 in this game, but just worth mentioning, he's a freshman, true freshman, I think. And that was just kind of crazy. 31 against Bakersfield. So, you hope to kind of roll into the second, I guess not even second half, like final quarter of the season if you're the Highlanders and, you see a close game against Cal Poly like that, you're hoping you can take the win against Bakersfield like they did. Definitely need to beat Fullerton in your upcoming match against them. That's a huge one. right? If you want to talk about upcoming matchups, they've got Fullerton soon on Thursday, which is right. That's
Yeah, they
the
got
first
Fullerton.
one?
Fullerton
Yeah.
on Thursday. At Fullerton on Thursday.
And then at CSUN
At CSUN on Saturday. Yeah, exactly.
So definitely both of those teams are teams that show up to the games. There's going to be a crowd there. Very big
Fullerton
sports
especially.
School. Yeah, Fullerton is big on that. And we already know Fullerton's a high-powered offense. You kind of shut them down last time you played them, but they are first in the Big West with 84 points per game, and so that's something that you got to be definitely aware of.
Yeah, I think the crowd presence that you mentioned, especially against Fullerton, is going to be insane. That's going to be the hardest thing going in there, and you got to play on that palm tree court that they've got. It's ugly. It's hideous in my opinion, but
it's so gross.
But you got to play on that, and it's going to be a tough environment because, you look at the past couple of years of Cal State Fullerton men's basketball, they have not been good.
No.
They have not been good. And this year, they are really, really good. So that crowd, they've been waiting to see a good team. That's a crowd that you said they come out to the basketball games, and for 2 years, they've been waiting to have a really good men's basketball team, and they've got it this year. So it's going to be one of the most intense crowds that the Highlanders are going to have to play at so far this year.
Definitely. And the other thing is, I mean, when you look at a team like Fullerton and like they have not been good the past few years, this year they're really good. You look at their score and you're like, okay, they're like a fringe Big West team, like a Big West tournament team. And then you think about it and you're like, that's just how good the Big West is this year. It really speaks to it. You look at the standings, it's like UC Irvine 8-2 in conference, Hawaii 8-3, Santa Barbara 8-3, UC Davis is 6-5, and they are a they're moving conferences next year, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they are a very, very good school. CSUN 6-5, UC San Diego is 5-6, and UC San Diego is coming off of a March Madness appearance.
Yeah, I mean they almost won that game too.
Yeah,
I forget who they played, but they were a 12 seed and they very nearly knocked off.
They almost beat.
Yeah.
Like,
and look at Michigan this year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you think about how close this really is. Cal Poly 5-6. Cal Poly was amazing last year. Cal Poly beat Utah this year. I mean, Long Beach 4-7, Riverside 3-8, Bakersfield 2-9. Like, this is a very, very competitive conference that you have to, both in men's and women's, and not only in basketball, in most sports. This is a very, very competitive conference. And for UCR to be hanging on to these close games against a lot of these, and for Fullerton to really be sparking up, I mean, yeah, they're 5-6, but that's the same record as UC San Diego. So just something to think about going into it. They give up the second most points per game, which is something that you have to expose. You cannot start off slow. You have to start off hot like you did last time. And you got to give them, you got to out rebound them for sure. They give up most rebounds in the Big West.
Yeah, no. So you gotta, like you said, you gotta rebound. You gotta start early. But that's the keys to like every kind of game, right? And in the Cal Poly game, they didn't start off too hot, but I think they were able to, with their defense, they were able to kind of minimize the effects of that. So I think, high-powered offense, you got to come ready for that as well.
Well, I think you did it last time, right?
Yeah.
You kind of stopped a high-powered offense, but the thing that I saw last time that Gus really prepared for is they held the ball for so long in every single possession. Marquis Worthy, if you remember that game, he had 24, I think, in that game. And he literally would just go down the court and him and Tyler Jones would just hold the ball. They would run a play, every single play, use all the shot clock. And that's something that you definitely want to use to slow down the Fullerton offense and kind of expose their defense. Because if they're second to last in the league in points allowed, right, you are going to get an opportunity to shoot. That's just the reality of it. So if you really slow the game down like you did last time, I think you have a way better shot of taking away a win.
Yeah, and like we said, it's going to be a tough game going into that Fullerton environment. But, I think this is one of the better weeks that UCR men's basketball have had recently. And they're going to be coming in with momentum, and not just with momentum, but also healthy too, right? Petit's still coming back. I thought he looked a lot better in that Cal Poly game than he has the previous games since he's come back. He just looked a lot more healthier, a lot more bouncier, and a lot more fearless too. It looked like he had more confidence kind of driving into the lane, jumping on loose balls. And I know he wasn't doing that earlier because it's not a lack of hustle with Petit. Like, we know that's not the thing with him. He's ton of hustle, ton of grit. A lot of guys on this UCR team are. But and I think it was just kind of him just kind of taking cautious with that knee injury. But he looked a lot healthier, and we know the player that Petit can be. And if he's, going into Thursday, he should be even more healthier, we should expect. And, UCR is going to come in a lot more healthier into that game as well.
Yeah, and just to cover CSUN kind of quickly because it's on the horizon, I'll say. They're on a 2-game win streak. They're third in points per game with 81. They're first in rebounds, 42.2 rebounds per game, which, again, pretty crazy for a college team. And, if you win that game, you control your own fate. Do you have anything to say about that game?
Yeah, we've seen UCR kind of struggle with offensive rebounding recently, but, so that might be an issue. You're going to have to knock down your shots. You're going to have to make them respect your jumper to get those bigs out of the paint, space the floor a little bit. But yeah, so it's going to be a big game. That season game, look for Henderson, look for Worthy, look for Tyler Jones, look for all the shooters at UCR.
Yeah. And then we'll roll right into girls basketball. They're 7-14 currently. They're 5-6 in conference. But just remember what I said about the Big West right now. It is the Wild Wild West. So you've got UC San Diego sitting at 10-1, UC Davis at 9-2, UC Irvine at 8-2, Cal State Fullerton at 8-3, UC Santa Barbara at 7-4, Hawaii at 6-5, Riverside at 5-6. Bakersfield at 2-9, CSUN at 2-9, Long Beach at 2-9, and Cal Poly at 1-10. And just remember, you went out and you beat Hawaii, and that's a big win because they are one game in front of you. So if you can take that series and if you're tied with Hawaii at the end of the season, you take that their spot in the Big West tournament. And currently UCR is 7th and Hawaii is 6th. So that's going to make a world of difference in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeding is so important too in the Big West. We've seen it, in the past, right? Because it's tough because these teams play each other twice in the regular season and then they go play each other in the Big West tournament. And, if you go like you said, if you sweep Hawaii, going into the Big West tournament, if you have to face them in the tournament, you have a lot more confidence going into that one, especially with the juggernaut teams kind of Hawaii have put in the past, right? The Hawaii women's basketball team, the Rainbow Wahine, they have such a reputation for, always being one of the top teams in the Big West. If you can go into the Big West tournament, beating them twice gives you so much more confidence throughout that tournament.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's tough because last week you did take a tough loss in a good game against Long Beach State, where Seneca Hackley only got 8 minutes. I wasn't able to find the game anywhere, so I had assumed that she got hurt because she was also limited in her next game, and she came out, a few minutes into the game, and that's tough to see, especially with one of your leaders. And it's tough to also see Hannah go 28, 5, and 10 and not get the win. That's again for a women's college basketball game, like. That is an insane stat line.
A 28-point double-double is, and then you add on another 5 to that. It's incredible.
Yeah. That's like, it really needs to be talked about. We need to have some coverage here of all this stuff that we're doing, and that's what we hope to do with this. But you can't go 4-14 in the fourth to try and close out a game. You really just can't. That's a tough break right there.
Yeah, it's tough. And Long Beach State, it's a team you beat earlier in the season, so it's one where you go into that game thinking we can win this one again. And 3-point loss is tough. We've seen Long Beach State before. We know how they play. They live and die by Jacoya Jones-Brown, right? With Michael Richards out, she's the girl that they've got, and she had an incredible game, a game that matched Wickstrom. She had 29, 6, and 4. And it was those two kind of dueling it out. And at the end, right, like you said, the Highlanders shot 4 for 14 from the field in that fourth. That's just not going to be good enough down the stretch. And Long Beach State, they were better in that fourth quarter, and that's kind of what it came down to.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think the Highlanders kind of took that and ran with it into the next game against Cal Poly. Hannah had 24, 4, and 4. Again, crazy numbers for any type of college game, but like this is 24-4-4 is insane. You don't watch that every day. And
it's becoming normal now with what Hannah's doing. So far this season. It's like it's not even mind blowing. It should be mind blowing.
You hear us say that and you think like, oh, like that's just what Hannah does. It is what Hannah does, but I mean, she's averaging like something like 23, 20.
Yeah. I was making a little spotting board for Thursday's game against Cal State Fullerton, which is where I input all the player stats so I can say them on the broadcast. And yeah, I got to Hannah and I pulled up her stats and it said I think 22.3 points per game, and I was like, there's no way. I had to double check that.
And you don't see anything like that in the league right now. She is the league leader in Big West points per game. By a large margin. It's like 3 points. 4
I believe
points.
So. Yeah, I think the next person, I think it's Hunter Hernandez. I think she's sitting around 19.
Yeah, and that's just like you really don't. Let's pull it up right now. In fact, Wickstrom 22.7. Vanessa McManus is at 19.1. Who you just beat on Cal Poly, and then Hunter Hernandez is at 18.8. So 22.7 points per game. Insane. You want to talk about that Cal Poly game? That Cal Poly game was amazing. Just kind of show out. It's a tough win that you squeaked out. Am I tweaking? Is it a tough win?
It was a tough one, yeah.
Yeah.
We did win that game, yeah.
I didn't put down the score right.
70-66 UCR. Yeah, and it was a really fun game right at the end too. UCR scored 20, Cal Poly scored 26 in the fourth quarter. And I think, after losing that game against Long Beach State, UCR were more prepared going into that fourth quarter. And then especially when you have someone like Hackley back, her experience in those final moments, I think you missed that against Long Beach State, right? We've mentioned it that this women's team is a lot of underclassmen kind of leading this team, right? Wickstrom, she's only a sophomore. Kaylani Polk, I think, is only a sophomore. And you go into those final moments and you play a team like Long Beach State that have, more experience closing out games like that. And it's tough. But, you take that experience on Thursday, you go into Saturday against Cal Poly, and you get the job done.
Yeah, and then, you see Seneca had 10 in 20. So she had 10 points in 20 minutes. That's a huge contribution, especially with that little amount of minutes. And then you've got Bria Easy Bucket Shine with 10. And that's huge because she really is your easy bucket. You toss it up to Bria and she's going to lay it up. And then you want to carry over that momentum into CSUF and CSUN. You've got them up next, just the same with the guys. CSUF is also the highest scoring offense for women's, and they score 72.4 per game. You want to force them into threes, though. And that's what the Highlanders really excel at is forcing shooters to shoot. If you force them into threes, they have the worst 3 percentage in the Big West, sitting at 25.1%. And so, that's kind of the game plan, hopefully, if you're Brad. Then again, we see things change, like especially in that Davis game, we saw things change like halfway through. But, what do you think about that?
Yeah, like you said, you got to force them into threes, right? They've got those two bigs, Jones and Steiner. And I think Jones averages around 15, Steiner averages around 12.
Yeah.
And I think we've got the players on the women's team to get it done, right? We got Bria Shine, like you mentioned. She's a force inside on offense, but also on defense too, right? And she's going to make the lives of Jones and Steiner really tough. I'm really interested to see the matchup between Steiner and Swanson, both true freshmen, and both super talented too. I think they're going to really go at it. I think it's going to be a really fun matchup on Thursday.
Yeah, no, if they both stay in the Big West, that's going to be – I mean, you're watching like the beginning of like a very heated rivalry. Hopefully, no pun intended. Don't sue us. Also, there's a weird like rebounding thing with them. They are very good offensively rebounding. They're first in the Big West with 17.9, and they are the worst defensive rebound team in the Big West with 20.1, which is usually kind of backwards.
Right, yeah. Usually defensive rebound is a little easier.
Yeah, so just kind of interesting. I mean, definitely a little gritty, but they're just kind of middle in the pack in total rebounds. But their turnover margin is 10.8, which is insane. They force a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, they take care of the basketball too.
Yeah, they really that 10.8 is like 4 more than the second in line, which is UCSD, who is at the top of the mountain in rankings. So just that number is crazy for anyone who's wondering. And then they're first in assists and 14.7 assists per game, and steals and 16.7 per game. And then you've got CSUN after that. CSUN second in blocks, 3.9 per game, and then bottom of the Big West in free throw percentage and opponent free throw percentage. I don't know what it is about shooting free throws against CSUN or just in a game with CSUN. Apparently their players can't do it and the other team's players can't do it. So is that interesting? Is there anything to be said about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's only been, like 11 games so far in the Big West season, so it's a small sample size. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you got to make your free throws, and it's gonna And we've seen these last few games, right? Cal Poly 70-66, Long Beach State 75-72. These are really close games. A couple free throws, in the first quarter, a couple missed free throws in the first quarter could really hurt you down the stretch. So it's gonna be important that they make their free throws against CSUN.
There must be a lot of pressure in those CSUN games if both them and their opponents are bottom of the Big West in free throws and opponent free throws. So their free throws must be tough buckets.
Yeah, I mean they'll be Highlanders will be well equipped though. After coming off high pressure games against Cal Poly and Long Beach State, I think they're ready for this moment.
Yeah, you would hope so. And they're also you roll in from maybe the weirder rebounding team in the Big West to the best rebounding team in the Big West. They have 39.8 rebounds per game, which again crazy. That I mean. That's a big number for a college team. So, you go into that and you kind of think okay, we have to really protect the ball. We don't know how many of these chances we're going to get. We're definitely not going to get as many second chances on offense as we think we are. And, you have to make your free throws. If you outshoot them at the free throw line, I think you have a way better chance of winning.
Yeah, absolutely. And who's going to be getting to the free throw line? It's going to be Hannah Wickstrom. Right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This game, right? I honestly, these 2 games, I don't know if it's more up to the Highlanders. I think it's more up to CSUN and CSUN whether they can stop the best scorer in the Big West right now. Because, if Wickstrom, if she keeps up playing like she did this past week, 28 and 24, right? We lost that game where she put up 28. There's not going to be many more games where she puts up those kind of numbers. She puts up, 28, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals in that game, Hannah Wickstrom. And there's not going to be many more games like that. If she plays like that the Highlanders are going to lose. So it's going to come down to CSUF and CSUN really shutting her down, and whether the secondary scores on this Highlanders team will show up in those games.
All right, thank you very much. That was all from Highlander Hot Talk Basketball. I'm Seth Myers. That was Isaac Solnick. And show up to the games on Thursdays and Saturdays.